Well, it's really windy out here in Treaty 6 territory today, and I'm hearing that there's some freezing rain that's happening. But I just wanted to talk about how Canadians are treaty beneficiaries. So, if you have come to live on our land and you have benefited from the land, and you live here, you own a house, you own land, you've got free Medicare, you get an education here. All of these are because of the benefits of treaty. Okay, so you are a beneficiary to treaty too, because I remember when I was teaching about treaties to the schools, the administrators would say, oh, we're not treaty. And I'd be like, well, no, because you are meant to coexist with us. So you benefit off of treaty too, because you are a beneficiary of the treaties, and we are the signatories to the treaty with the crown. So in saying that, I would ask them, so do you own land? Do you own a house? Oh yeah. Well, there's your treaty right. So these types of concepts were not taught within the Canadian schools, because why would they teach about treaties within the schools? Because they know how powerful treaties are. And when we're talking about the major contributions that First Nations have made to this land, to this country we call Canada, look at the medicine chest clause and how that became the foundation of universal health care in Canada. Chief Poundmaker, when he was negotiating the medicine chest clause, which is free health care for First Nations within the treaties, he negotiated that in Treaty 6, and that became the foundation for universal health care across Canada back in the 1960s, 70s, when they were negotiating universal health care, and Premier Tommy, for all of Canadians, and Premier Tommy Douglas had credited Chief Poundmaker as being the grandfather of universal health care in Canada because of his successful negotiation of the medicine chest clause within the treaties. So you all benefit from that. And for people to say, oh, treaties are of the past, well, you're living them right now. You are a beneficiary if you own land and you own your home. But on First Nation communities, we don't own the land because it's held in trust by the Queen, and you wonder why First Nation communities live in poverty, is because we don't have market value on the land like the way you have market value on the land. And a lot of the settlers that came here got the land for very cheap or free in a lot of instances. So that land that you have your house on, and now that the BC bands are acquiring their lands back, good for them, because that was their land in the first place. So all of this land is traditional territories of all the First Nations across Canada, but yet we are the poorest. We have the highest incarceration rates, the highest suicide rates, the highest of all of these negative things that are happening, and that's all due to colonial policies, due to things like the Indian Act, due to those parts of the Indian Act that have put us in the position of where instead of free education, which we are supposed to have, but I paid for mine because I paid well over $100,000, and I just finished paying it off a few years ago. So I'm a lawyer, and it took me 14 years to pay it off. So that wasn't free for me. So I paid for my education, and now Medicare for First Nations, it's not free. Neither is dental work. So come on. Even taxes, we have to pay taxes like everybody else. So all of these misconceptions that we have, all of these colonial policies, and the non-recognition of what treaties are for First Nations, even the Indian Trust, and I've talked about this before, that the Indian Trust laid the foundation, paid for the foundation of Canada, from Upper Canada to the railway and that's why they had to sign treaties in the West, so that they could have access to the land, so that the settlers could come settle here. And then don't get me started on the treaty right to agriculture, because those poor settler farmers who got upset because the Indian farmers were better farmers, and then they had to go to the government and go cry around and then get the peasant policy in place so that, you know, they could be better farmers. And this is where we're at today. You know, it's all policies that have put us in this position. So, you know, you should really learn from an Indian really what the history is about this land before talking about your opinions on us, because this is our land, all of it. Traditional territories is our land. We shouldn't be paying taxes. We shouldn't be paying for education. We should have free Medicare, free dental, free all of it, because we should be benefiting from this land, because we allowed the settlers to become beneficiaries of this land, and all the immigrants that have come after, all the immigrants that come here now. This is still our land, and you need to understand and you need to learn this. And I don't know if you are learning this, but I'm more than happy to educate you on the true history of this land. And I do it all over the place. Wherever I go, I'm talking about it. And you want to point the fingers at us for being, you know, using those stereotypes that we're drunk, lazy Indians. Well, I am neither of those. I am a workaholic. I work hard for my money. I have raised my children, and I fight for my people, and I fight for my people's rights, and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. So you can't judge me for that. And honestly, my people are the most beautiful people on this planet, because they are so giving and so loving, and I know we have the capability to coexist with you, because we have been. So why don't you just start treating us like as true treaty partners, Canada? I feel like we're in an abusive situation with y'all forever, and it's really hard to live this kind of life when this is the kind of treatment that we receive within society. And think about those contributions that you have benefited off as being a treaty beneficiary, based off of our backs and our hard work and our contributions to you. So thank you.